Patrick, Roddy, everybody. Thank you again for being on the show,
Hey,
man.
thanks so much for having me back. I am having the time of my life. This is awesome. This is now completely a full-time job and frankly a mission from God. This actually is a spiritual battle and I'm helped, and man, it's been freaking epic. Last week I spoke at the third annual Stop Geoengineering Summit in Tucson. The first one was in Vancouver, last year was Portland, this was in Tucson, Arizona. And in Tucson this year, supposedly, David Keith, who wrote this little red book, A Case for Climate Engineering. He is one of these geoengineers who says, oh, we're all going to die from global warming and we might have to put stuff in the sky to save you from global warming. They normally talk about sulfates or sulfuric acid, but he himself said in a paper he wrote called Photophoretic Levitation of Geoengineered Particles that sulfates don't work. They stick together, fall out of the sky. Instead, you need to use these engineered nanoparticles of aluminum and so on. And this year, for the first time, we have somebody in the open who will be releasing alumina into the atmosphere, up to a kilogram over Tucson. And you think a kilogram, I mean, that's like, it's 2 pounds. That's no big thing. Well, it is. Alumina is Al2O3. Aluminum oxide, but not all oxides are the same. Aluminum is the most common metal in the Earth's crust by far, but it's in the form of bauxite. Bauxite is entirely inert, well, almost entirely inert. If you put it in some water, it will not dissolve. To get from bauxite, the hydroxy, into alumina, the oxide, you have to boil it in caustic soda, which is the most corrosive thing on the planet, pretty much. And but once it leaves its stable form, it then becomes bioavailable. Sapphire actually is Al2O3 alumina, and if you put alumina in water, over time, it'll take a while, it's not completely insoluble. The Al3 plus ion will come off, and when these get in your brain cells, first it'll start, the brain cells will start working a bit off, and it'll reach a certain point where the cell itself realizes there's something seriously wrong, and it undergoes a thing called apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. And that, in a nutshell, is Alzheimer's. Another thing that is interesting, in his proposal to spray these sort of engineered discs, there was this magnetite little thing, because he said he wanted to steer it to reflect this disc to stop the sun hitting us, because apparently sunlight's a bad thing. Well, I was speaking to this professor in England, Professor Chris Exley, E-X-L-E-Y, and he's been studying aluminum toxicity since the 80s, early 80s in fact. And he wrote a paper which it mentioned iron in there, and I asked him, so what's the thing with iron? So is iron an issue? Well, apparently yes, because iron is an oxidant and it causes oxidative damage, but alumina is a pro-oxidant, and when you put the two of them together, the iron increases the oxidative stress on the neuron increase by a factor of 10. So it sort of fuels it and makes it 10 times faster. So together they're really bad. And it turns out, I also have a paper, I'll send you all the links afterwards, that our brains all over the world are saturated with these tiny magnetite nanoparticles. They're spheres about like 10 nanometers or smaller, spherical. And in the paper they're saying, oh yeah, these came from cars and trucks. Well, no, they didn't. If you want to make spherical nanoparticles, you condense a gas. If you rub two large pieces of two things together, you get irregularly sized, different shaped particles. Like get a piece of bread or cake and rub them together, you've got all these different sizes. These things are uniform and small. These have been engineered, and to melt iron, you need a blast furnace. And if your car was a blast furnace, had the temperature of a blast furnace, it would melt. But that only melts it. To get it up to boiling point, I know a plasma torch might do that, but a car cannot. This is absolute hogwash, and it's throughout the biosphere. You know, it's in all of our brains, and also our brains are also full of aluminum, which is Chris actually did a study and studied 60 brains, and they're all full of iron and aluminum. And also, of course, I've been since Dr. Keith proposed putting these little nano discs in the atmosphere. I've been doing rainwater tests since about 2013. And 80% of the time there's varying levels of iron. I mean, aluminum's common, but iron's there, titanium, barium, because all the things that he's proposing. I'm not suggesting he's actually going to send these discs out, but they're saying that they are. We're thinking of putting sulfur, titanium, barium, iron, and aluminum in the atmosphere, and of course they're in the air, they're in the water. And oh yeah, that's the other thing. People say, oh no, we're not spraying. Besides, those rainwater tests that you did, you probably contaminated them or whatever. Well, I came across, I was looking into aerosol mass spectrometry. There's this great guy on Facebook called Pete Ramone. God bless that guy. He searches through scientific papers and stuff, and he came across this thing called PALMS, PALMS, which is, I forget what the P is, it's aerosol mass spectrometry. And NASA/NOAA has one of these planes, and they flew it around, and they found because, cirrus clouds, the official line is, it's water condenses to itself, because if it hits minus 40 degrees at 100% humidity, it will condense into the ice crystals. But that's called a homogeneous ice crystal. Those are rare. Heterogeneous, when water attaches to something, condensation, you need 100% humidity and something to condense onto. But anyway, it turns out most of the ice crystals that form these clouds are heterogeneous, and what they are attached to, the other story is, it's from soot or pollen or other whatever. Actually, so turns out not true. So when I was looking up the aerosol mass spectrometry thing, it had a picture of this plane with a little gizmo attached to the front. And it said, and it was mentioned in this study. So in this copy of Science, it is the 14th of June 2013 issue. Science is the publication of the AAAS, which is the American, the science guys. So this article. Here we go. Clarifying the dominant sources and mechanisms of cirrus cloud formation. Basically, what are cirrus clouds forming on? And in the abstract, it says, our results demonstrate that mineral dust and metallic particles are the dominant source of residual particles, whereas sulfate and organic particles are underrepresented, and elemental carbon and biological materials are essentially absent. It's not soot, it's not pollen. Besides, pollen's much lighter than these metals, and somehow it's getting up into the stratosphere. We're being sprayed. This is the proof. And also and it shows, there's a graph. I mean, that's where they flew. And there's a graph which will be way too hard for you to see, but it's on stopsprayingus.com, and they show in the mineral dust there's aluminum, potassium, iron, calcium, and a bunch of other stuff. But the one below it is metallic particles, and they're metallic means, I mean, metals, you know, aluminum metal is, you know, the shiny stuff. Most metals are in compounds or minerals. Like salt is sodium chloride, sodium being the metal. But
let me ask you really quick, Patrick. Sure. David Keith knows all of this already.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
He's proposed it, and I've seen him also on even late night talk shows. I think one of them was with Stephen Colbert, as a matter of fact.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And even Colbert looked at him like,
"Are you insane?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you really want to do. But what's killing me is they're allowing it, because they're still allowing it, because to me it seems like it's even ramped up more, Patrick. I've been seeing more spraying.
Oh, it's massive. It's huge. It's the acceleration is nuts, and I'll get to that later. But the point what I was making about the metal is there is unoxidized sodium. Sodium is super. I mean, if you get sodium and put it in water, it like fizzes up. It's like really reactive. There's potassium, iron, nickel, and all these other things. But there's also aluminum. They didn't mark it on this graph, but if you follow the line down where aluminum should be, it is not zero. Aluminum is highly reactive. If you scratch Reynolds wrap, it'll almost instantly oxidize. So what are unreacted metals are doing in the stratosphere? This is the proof that we are being sprayed with metals, and they publish it in the most widely read science journal in America. The debate is over. Are we being sprayed? Yes, we are, and with poison. But the other research I've been doing recently was epidemiological study. I want to find out. I was trying to find out historical death rates for all these different diseases. And also, I needed to have some way of proving when. I mean, I've heard people saying, yeah, it really ramped up in the 90s. I wasn't paying attention then, but I went on Facebook, and I have a crap load of friends and followers, and I asked, hey, when did the spraying start? And all these different things, and I graphed it out, and from like there was like 5 in the 70s, you know, maybe 10 in the 80s, and then to the 90s it went up to 51. There's a 5-fold increase in observations in the 90s. I dug around in the CDC, and they make it very hard to find old data, but I came across this PDF of like sort of 1980 something, whatever, National Vital Statistics thing. And it wasn't on the page, but what I did, I changed the date in the URL, and I found it worked for lots of different years, and I got data going back to 1965. And I also found a document in 1986 when they said, oh, actually, yeah, we're going to start reporting on Alzheimer's now, and they gave the numbers from 1979 to 1985. And in 1979, by the way, Alzheimer's is the #1 cause of death in England right now. In 1979, there were less than 900 people in the United States died nationally. And the latest number we have is, I think it's 160,000, but you should at least double those numbers, because that doesn't include comorbidity, people who died of something else but had Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. But when you map this out on the graph, you see it goes from let's look at the thing. So this is 1979. It goes slowly this way, and then in the 90s it suddenly pops up this way, and it's like this huge bulge here. And a few like back from like 2014 or so, it just goes straight up. That's pretty clear. And also that's, I mean, Parkinson's has a similar trend, but Alzheimer's is very, very clear. Alzheimer's is caused by aluminum. That is not debated. The shills will still say, oh yeah, you know, there's nothing wrong. Aluminum's fine. Yeah, as bauxite. But this is, it's murder. But here's the thing. David Keith saying he will release a kilogram of alumina particles. I actually bought some aluminum myself. I got 5 nanometer aluminum. I bought it from US Nanomaterials in Texas. They charged me $40 hazmat handling fee for this stuff. It's dangerous. I haven't taken it out of the box. It's scary. But I did the mathematics. It's alumina is 4 grams per cubic centimeter. So I calculated what the mass of a single 5 nanometer diameter nanoparticle is, and then see how many you get in a kilogram. A very large number. So I divided that very large number by the population of the planet. There's let's take it for 7 billion. For every man, woman, and child on the planet, there, in this 1 kilogram, there are 500 billion, with a B, nanoparticles that he will release. So it's statistically impossible for me not to breathe one. I'm not a lawyer. I cannot represent anyone else, but I can represent myself. So what I'm going to do is, because if I'm to die of Alzheimer's or with Alzheimer's, David Keith, by doing this, will have shortened my life. Maybe not by much, but shortening someone's life is murder any way you cut it. It's just, that is very straightforward. So he's trying to kill me. And so I'm going to go to federal court in San Francisco and say, he's trying to kill me. I want a restraining order on him, so that and then a preventive injunction that he never releases any form of aluminum at all, except maybe bauxite. Dust I'm not worried about. Poison, yes. Bauxite, no. And then if he does release it, I'm going to sue for 1 penny. I want 1 penny for, the infinitely small, supposedly shortening of my life if I am to die of Alzheimer's. Because if you look at the actuarial tables, you are almost certain to die of Alzheimer's the older you get. I mean, people can get hit by trucks and all that kind of stuff, but the older you get, right now it's becoming almost a certainty. Whereas, and I was talking to Chris actually, and he said in the absence of aluminum, people would not die of Alzheimer's in their normal human lifespan. It shouldn't even exist. Without it, aluminum is killing people, and he's doing this thing to kill people. I have here Black's Law Dictionary. Eighth edition, and when you look up murder, take my glasses off here. Murder, noun, the killing of a human being with malice aforethought. So he knows it's poisonous, because I've told him, amongst other people, he knows already that it's going to kill people, and he's going to do it anyway. So that's malice aforethought. But when you read further and you get down to first degree murder, it says murder that is willful, deliberate, or premeditated. Well, that counts. Or that is committed during the course of another dangerous felony. All murder perpetrated by poisoning or by lying in wait is considered first-degree murder. They almost define first-degree murder as poisoning. So I have standing. I can represent myself. I have standing. So then I will establish that every living thing on the planet will have standing against this guy who is poisoning everyone in the world. I mean, there's, like, as I say, there's 500 billion particles. There's no way he can say, oh no, you didn't breathe in one of my particles. So I will then call out to class action lawyers and just invite them to find themselves a protected group, a class. The ones I mentioned in Tucson would be like a spotted owl, the Navajo, whatever, and they can get their 40% from it and absolutely take them to the cleaners. But it's not just David Keith. He's doing it through Harvard. The Harvard Endowment is exposed, and he's also funded by Bill Gates, the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, Hewlett Packard Foundation, a bunch of other so-called philanthropists. Their philanthropy, their foundations and the money are all exposed. Everyone on the planet will have their hands in their pocket in perpetuity. So that should be a little, and of course they're going to throw up roadblocks, but if they say, oh, it's okay to murder people, you got to throw out the entire legal system because it's invalid. So that's just for this 1 kilogram. Once there's blood in the water, I'll mention these class action lawyers, like, oh, by the way, yeah, do you want to have a look at these airlines? It's gonna, I am using whatever is waged against us, that is the thing we use against them in response. I mean, we don't use on that side, they have hate, fear, violence, ugliness, deception, all that kind of stuff, and we have puppies and ice cream and awesomeness. But when someone's coming at you with something, that's the thing you use to solve the problem. And so that's a nutshell. Oh yeah, the other thing that I'm doing is like I said, I've been doing these time lapses since 2013 with a couple of gaps, and I have this fantastic record of how the skies looked exactly dawn till dusk for years. And I wanted to find out. Most of these deaths are. When you're looking at Alzheimer's, that's a chronic disease. It takes a while to kill you. I was wondering, for people who have compromised respiratory function, is there a spike in death of the different kinds of deaths on heavy spray days? And in last year, I started in April last year, but I got serious in August last year, and I asked the San Francisco Department of Public Health, tell me how many people died on each day on this period, and they said, oh no, we're not going to give it to you because we store that in the state database, and that's outside our thing. By the way, San Francisco has this Sunshine Ordinance law in which if they have a record, they must give it to you for free within 10 days. Electronic records. Paper's a different story. So when they said, no, you can't, we store it on the state, you would think, oh, that's an obstacle. But because what I just said, whenever something is waged against you, that's the thing you use to get the great thing. I thought, okay, I wouldn't look towards the state, I'll turn back and look at the city, and I'll look at the city and say, okay, when somebody dies in San Francisco, what city departments know about it and what communication happens between which departments? And so I filed Sunshine Ordinance requests to the Department of Public Health, asking, okay, how many people died in San Francisco General Hospital, Laguna Honda and managed care? I asked the police, how many times did a cop see someone who was dead? I asked the fire department, how many times did you see someone who looked like they were dead, or you, as a paramedic, you recorded it, because only a medical professional can say someone is actually dead, which is a good thing. You don't want to be buried alive. The coroner, tell me all your deaths. When did they happen? When were the communications from people who were qualified to the thing? And here's the best one. I can love this one. The Department of Emergency Management, they have the 911 system, and I said, ooh, okay. I want every single call to the 911 system saying, there's a medical emergency, there's someone here who looks like he's dead, and also the fire and the police department also feed back to central dispatch. They run central dispatch, so you can have fire and police saying, I think this guy is dead, or this person has actually died. as long as they have electronic records all the way back. And this is going to form the seed of a global, completely free, beyond open source. If you know computers at all, like the GNU operating system is Libre software, GPL 2.0. This is completely free for anyone to do what they want with, and it will be matching adverse health effects with observed spraying. You put the two sets together, and right now this is just for San Francisco. I will release this database into the wild, and the only field that will need to be changed is field for location. And then you can put in satellite imagery. I mean, you get all kinds of stuff, because radar activity, the NEXRAD activity, like for example, if there's lots of zapping, are there more domestic violence calls? This will be a real-time defense, a air raid warning thing, and it won't be just for the spraying. Anytime there's any other shenanigans, like, whoa, there's a bunch of people dying over here, because they're really trying to lock down the data about deaths and dying. I mean, Google and all these guys know exactly what's going on. When someone dies, people are looking up for funeral directors and stuff. They know. Or if there's a flu outbreak, more people are searching on Amazon for, like, cold medicine and tissues and stuff.
Right.
They have it, the government has it. We, the people who are doing the living and dying, are denied it. Okay, it is May, right? If someone dies this week, the CDC the CDC claim it's illegal to say if somebody dies. Well, actually the HIPAA law says you cannot say if a person died, not even naming them on a specific day. You can say a person died within an entire month. I could not say someone died this month until next month, and I can say a person died in May. But to actually get the numbers from that, they wouldn't release it this December. They would wait till December 2019 to say so many people died of Ebola or whatever the thing is. They are keeping it all under wraps, and of course they're the three-letter agency, but we need to wrest control of this, because knowledge is power. And yeah, okay, the first thing it'll obviously show, yeah, we're getting sprayed, and there's a human health cost. And of course, with the local database that I do, if there is even a 15% increase of deaths on heavy spray days, that's 15% of murders, and then they're like we're going to come at them with the truth, but with the tools they have given us. But actually, speaking of, I want to go back to the David Keith thing. With the spraying, constant thing, oh no, we're not doing it. This is something we might do in future. This is different. He is saying, yes, I will do this much stuff in Tucson this year. This is the first time, and this because the other side have to say in plain English for them to get their silent consent from us. They need to say clearly, unambiguously, what they're going to do, and that's the point when we say, I'll keep this YouTube safe, but it's basically no, but very emphatically, in the way an Irishman who's had a couple of beers would say, no. And even though they're not making a big song and dance about it and saying, oh, here are the venues that you would used to say, no, they do exist. I've looked into it, and it is the federal court, and it'll be preventive injunctions, and then we take them to the cleaners. This is the opportunity, and I feel so blessed to be chosen or considered good enough to do this divine job. I'm on a mission, to quote, is it Elwood Blues from the Blues Brothers? I am on a mission from God. And I am ready to do this thing, and I'm doing it, and it's absolutely awesome. Serendipity doesn't come into it. I have everything that I need to do this job. I've been trained my entire life, and it looks like my parents and grandparents, all their experiences also plays into this. As I mentioned before, my father's a professor of physiology, my mother's a poet, she was a flight attendant. My father's father was a Methodist minister, and my mother's father was a spook. He was a career intelligence officer at GCHQ, which is the British NSA, and all the experiences I've had in life are all training for this. Everyone listening to this, you've been trained too. You might not know it yet, and you're always being guided. Can
I throw something out really quick?
Please.
With the training that you're talking about,
right?
This whole very subliminal, by the way.
Of course,
because
I didn't even know what it was for.
This might you might disagree, but this might crack you up. But I'm even seeing at Walmart now, when you have to leave, you have to show them your receipt, and then they mark it. Like, I don't know if you ever go to a Costco or anything, you have to stand in line.
Right.
And you have to do this whole thing. Mm-hmm. Everything is in lines. We're being trained.
Oh, of course.
In my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
To be in a, I don't know, a concentration camp, FEMA camp, whatever you want to call it. It just seems like we are constantly being put into some kind of line, being shown to be patient, probably to our death. I mean,
dog training.
But I mean, do you know what I'm getting at?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the other side try to influence us as well, of course. Fly. I don't want to fly. I choose not to fly.
Yes,
unless I want to go to across an ocean. I'm not, there aren't many ocean liners left. I'm not gonna go steerage on a tanker. Like for example, Tucson, I could have flown to Tucson, it would have been much quicker. But first of all, I was actually picking up Alana Freeland. She was speaking up in Kentfield in Marin a few weeks ago. And I picked her up at the airport, and you see this glassed in area with it. I don't want to make a slaughterhouse sort of comparison, but they were controlled in this dark place, and they were all concerned and stuff like, screw that, no way am I doing that. Also, the water thing, you can only carry like this much water. I drink, I don't know how many gallons a day of my Shasta water. It's very awesome. And so when I went to Tucson, I brought 11 gallons. You can't do that in a plane. You can on Amtrak. They let you bring huge amounts of water on Amtrak. But Walmart, knock them as much as you like, but everything, we are between pure divinity and pure corruption. We're somewhere in the middle. I'm not perfect, neither are you. Right. And Walmart isn't completely evil. Here's one thing I get from Walmart. They're called American-made, MAID, 5-gallon water bottles, and I have about 30 of them. And I drive up to Mount Shasta and go to the Shasta headwaters and fill them up myself and it comes straight out of the mountain, and it's awesome. And when I was talking with Chris Axley about aluminum toxicity, he said something interesting, that silicon protects us from aluminum, because specifically silicic acid, because there's an acid for pretty much everything, and silicic acid, I think you can get like plant food that has this in it. It's hard to find I haven't found anywhere you can actually get it for human use, but I might, if you don't have it, I think if you get the plant stuff, look at SILIC acid, silicic. And So what it does, it binds on to free aluminum, makes this sort of silico hydroxy aluminum silicon thing, and the body recognizes it and can expel it, because the issue having all this free aluminum was never an issue before, because it was all locked up in bauxite. Whenever it was not in that form, silicon would take care of it. So to protect yourself against the aluminum toxicity, and we're all breathing in aluminum, all of us, every day. If you drink water that is high in silicic acid, Fiji water is high in silicic acid, it'll protect you. Anyway, I've been testing my rainwater for all this time, and the highest level of aluminum that I ever found was 540 micrograms per litre, which is a lot. And that was that was after a really heavy spray, and it was the very beginning of the first bit that rained, and I said that it was concentrated. So I finally, after speaking to Chris, I thought, I finally got my Shasta water tested. And do you want to guess how much silicon was in it? It's a big number. Pick one.
I bet it is.
Do you want to hazard a guess?
I really.
Oh, well, anyway. So, like I said, the highest amount of aluminum was 540 micrograms per liter. Shasta water has 27,000 micrograms per liter, and I've been drinking that exclusively for the last 2 years, not knowing that it had that in there. That was another divine thing. Why was I drawn to, I must drink this water? Of course it tastes good, but it's like, imagine you're a parent and you're walking down the street, and if you see something up ahead that you don't want to bring your child near, you won't tell the child, oh look, there's a threat over there, I'm going to move you over here. You just like sort of like, oh I think there's some puppies over there, and just go around the problem. We get led everywhere. It's great. We have there's something above. I don't know what that is. I call him God for it's. People understand what God is. I don't know if I don't know if it's the God of the Bible. I'm not saying it's Jesus or Ganesha or whatever. But there is. I'm a spirit. You're a spirit, and there are other spirits. There are lesser spirits, and there are greater spirits. Everyone knows that. I mean, some will deny it. And we can also manifest what is on our mind. If you listen, people listen to you. If you feel like yay, other people are more likely to feel yay. And it's hard to really, if you're just looking at it as from a Richard Dawkins selfish gene, oh, it's pure coincidence and random things bumping into each other. People with crappy attitudes have lousy lives, and bad things happen to them, whereas you have people who are just positive and everything just happens on time for them. You cannot, if you subtract that whole spirit thing, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You cannot explain this stuff. I know for a fact, because I had an epiphany in January of 2016 when God let himself, like I said, don't get hung up on the name God. The higher whatever universe, the epitome of love and perfection or whatever, made himself be known to me in a way I understood and knew. And because there's a difference between thinking and knowing. I mean, I know my cat's right over there. I don't think she is. I can see her. She's right there, and she stays close to me and she's actually listening. People do things because they think it's the right thing. Do things because you know it's the right thing, and you can find out you can know things. Try it, because we all have free will. Oh, that's the other thing. I cannot. The example I used, like if there's someone who doesn't like broccoli, I can't make them like broccoli. I could probably force it in their mouth or something, but I can't make them like broccoli. You cannot get someone to agree with you. And like the other side have all these bad ideas. One of them is, oh, let's spray poison in the air. They cannot get me to think that's a good idea. They could try and bribe me, but I got everything I need. You know, I'm fine. You know, I got a roof and a car and, you know, a cat and stuff. And you know, they got the carrot and stick. I mean, it's.
Why do they think it's a good idea anyway, Patrick?
Oh, they know it's an evil idea because our side's about creation, their side's about destruction. You know,
but they're going to kill themselves in the process.
I know, yeah, they're into destruction.
Don't they understand that?
Of course they do. Yeah, they're nihilistic. They will destroy themselves as well. Yeah, yeah. They want complete destruction
all the time.
Yeah. The thing is, if you are not a sociopath, if you're over on this side and as opposed to that side, it makes no sense at all. The only way you can understand what it is of the other side is imagine what you normally do and how you do it and why you do it, and then imagine with the opposite intent. You know, because you cook, you know, you'll make like if you're a mother, you'll go out shopping, you'll get food for your family and cook a meal and all that kind of stuff. The reverse would be, okay, I want to starve my children. How do I go about doing that? You know, I mean, if you look at how glyphosate works, it starves plants, and which then starves us. The geoengineering, they're taking away water, they're trying to take away sunlight, they're trying to actually taking away carbon dioxide. That's the life cycle. They are the opposite of us, and you will not understand them, but you can sort of understand the mechanics of their thought process if you put in reverse intent. And like, you know, taking instead of giving, harming instead of healing, obstructing instead of letting things, or constricting instead of letting things be free. It's, you know, I'm learning as I go along, but when you recognize all the qualities of the other side, hate, fear, violence, ugliness, and all that kind of stuff, and and let go of them, just like, that's not really helpful for me. The more you get rid of them, it's like when you start eating really good food, and then suddenly someone gives you here's a good one, good, Dairy Queen barbecue Swiss cheeseburger or something. Wow, so nasty. I'll never eat one of those again. The bad stuff really stands out, and you shed yourself of this stuff, and things become much easier. Because one of the other things from the other side is chaos. If I'm feeling rushed, I know that's not the thing to do, because that's part of chaos. You know, oh, you must do it. No, I don't must do anything. I should be awesome, but I don't have to be awesome. I could be a complete, you know, whatever the other side does. I could go work at Goldman Sachs and, you know, plan wars and how do we steal candy from babies. Well, actually, if you're stealing like GMO poisonous stuff from babies, that's a different story. But anyway, you become powerful. Your mind becomes clear. Everything gets easier and simpler. It's very, you know, you choose between more awesome and less awesome, and I go with more awesome because, you know, it's awesome, you know, puppies and ice cream. And the other side is so much work. To be a liar, you have to, first of all, think up a lie when you're talking to someone, and then remember that particular lie with reference to that person for the rest of your life. Wow, talk about Marley's chains. That's just be completely open, you know, so much easier. And you know, you can also find the things that are a little iffy that sort of got into the language. Even the golden rule, everyone's like, oh yeah, golden rule, which is like, don't be a horrible person, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, the subtext of that is, at least when I hear it, is don't be bad to other people because you don't want them to be bad to you, because you're afraid they would be bad to you. How many bads and afraids are in there? So much easier. be awesome, and then other people be awesome as well, and it's like, oh yeah, they're being awesome too, we're even happier, yay. Never a good deed goes unpunished. Well, wrong. If you're manifesting good, more good comes. You do not get punished. Generosity is always good. I mean, do not harm yourself. I mean, like if you're a firefighter, you know, you don't go into a burning building and let yourself burn up. I mean, if you burn up, you can't help anyone. So, I mean, the thing is, the protecting yourself, you keep that in mind, but because the reason you want to help people is because we are all one. I actually remember, you know, the confronting the geoengineers thing, like when I was like 2015 and back then, when I was more sort of, I gotta get them to admit this going on, and you know, I'm still feisty. But when I look at Ken Caldera, I have sympathy for the guy. I mean, it must be awful being him. He looks he's so uncomfortable in his skin, and he's like, oh, these people hate me, and no matter how much money they give him, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So I'm not going to try and trap him into saying, oh, it's going on, because then he'll get it in the neck. I don't want him to be hurt, even by the other side. I want everyone to be better. And like with the shills, I mean, I want to, I don't want even them to stop doing what they're doing openly. Maybe at a convenient time later on, they can, sort of be less enthusiastic at the critical time, which will help us really. But I don't want them to like start talking, like sort of be like true whistleblowers, because bad things can happen to them. I want them to be safe. But I also speak to them. I've said this for 2 years now, that you guys know you're working for liars. You know, above my pay grade is a word from the other side. You know, that you are lied to. Stuff is concealed from you. You just know this. And even if you are given some protection, you know, oh, you take this pill or something, it won't be the stuff that the top guys get. And even if you were getting that, you can't give this to your loved ones, and you're going to watch them die. I don't want them to die. I don't want you to die. I want everyone to be just having a good old time. Come out to the beach and play frisbee and like play in the waves and just puppies and ice cream. I want that for everyone, and that's our nature. And plus, you know, if we were trying to fight them with their tools, we're no good at it. I mean, if me being vengeful, it'd be hard. You can piss me off, but I mean, I couldn't sort of sit and plot, oh, how can I extend this torture and all that kind of stuff. Oh, no, yeah. So we do what
There's a lot of angry people out there.
I know, and if you come across, I mean, it's okay to be angry. Anger is what got me started with 9/11. Like, you did what? Oh, no, hell no. And it's a motivator, but if you let it fester and let that anger turn to hate, and then think, I want to hurt these people who are doing this stuff. No, you want the stuff to stop. You don't want to hurt people. Right. They're hurting people. We're trying to stop the hurt. And if they stop doing it, you know, me and David Keith can go out for dinner together. You know, we'll probably get ordered different things. You know, have like also like, you know, so ice cream and cool stuff, and I don't know what he would have. But I don't want any harm to come to him. And you know, you'll see these people say, well, why are these people still walking around? Like, oh, I'll go to their defense. I will. No one. My goal is no one gets harmed, even if they're complete, you know, bad people. And that's our nature, you know, because just like lying is an extra freaking thing to remember to carry around the rest of your life. Hate is like drinking poison and expecting the other guy to get sick. It hurts you. Darkness in you is bad. You want to get rid of it as much as you can. Well, we can't get rid of it all because, you know, we're in this thing, and we don't want to get rid of darkness entirely either, because, you know, shade's nice. Hot sauce is nice. slightly slutty girls are really appealing when you're like 13 years old, and all of these things. We don't want to have it all pure church lady stuff. That would be boring. They give us something to do, you know, and I don't hate them at all. I just think I want to use my influence to stop them, just as they're using their influence to corrupt things on this side. We use our good influence to put good over there. They put their bad influence to put bad stuff over here. That's how it is, and there's a natural balance. And as I find myself becoming more, whatever, I don't know, knowing more stuff, being more capable. I'm not saying I'm like I have some sort of divine power or something, but I understand how stuff works more. My abilities match an increase of crappiness on the other side, and because everything, you know, one thing affects the other. Like you can't fill up one side of your bathtub. Because they're being extra crappy, that might be why we're being extra awesome. Or because we're being extra awesome, that might make them being extra crappy. I'm not sure. Chicken, egg, who cares? I know what I'm here to do. I'm just saying, no, cut that out. I haven't sworn once, yay me. I'm always very
good.
It's hard. Normally, I use the F word like a comma. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. And so it's we all, like I said, but the thing is, everyone listening to this, I'm just some guy. I really am just some guy. I've got there's nothing particularly special about me. I'm devilishly handsome, of course, and like you know that kind of stuff. But I'm just some guy, you know. And what I did, I chose this path, and you know, the further you go along it, you know, the better it gets. And it doesn't matter where you start, and it doesn't matter how small a good thing that you do, because no matter how small a thing that you do, that means there is more good, period. There is just more good. And you know, they're doing, like, we're in the creation side, the other guys are on the destruction side. We're both doing a job. And the other thing people feel really intimidated by, they'll look at the scale of this huge global, you know, the spraying thing alone, and they'll think, well, what can little me do? Well, you can make a good decision. You can make a good decision, because all the spraying was a bad decision, and the bad decision, they nurtured it and let it grow, and it grew out at Fibonacci. Look up the Fibonacci sequence. The Fibonacci sequence is the next series in the numbers is the sum of the previous two, so it goes 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and so on. And you know, it's shaped like this increasing spiral. When you see a fern unfold, this natural, beautiful thing that comes out, that is how things grow when they are let to grow by themselves. So a war was a single idea. Someone thought, okay, all right, we'll have a war. Okay, I decide, and then from that point out it grew, and over time it became this huge thing. The spraying became this huge thing. So all we have to do, I mean, and that point had to be completely dark, corrupt, evil, violent, chaotic, whatever, but a single point. And if we create something, anyone can create this, my cat can, a still point of peace, love, and from that small little thing, let it grow. And eventually it'll be bigger than all this stuff. And maybe that's already happening. And the thing is, the other guys, we are, you know, be afraid of them. They're the ones who are afraid. That's where fear comes from. They're terrified. And sure, we should make it easier for them to not be there. So we could be helping them. Like, okay, it's okay. You got nothing to harm from us. We're crap at harming anyway. It's all right. It'll be difficult making the change, but it's okay. I mean, I understand grieving, you know. And that's the process that will be that will happen for them, and we need to make it okay for them. So anyway, I'm sure.
At what point do we stop? Because here's the thing. From what I'm gathering is we need to be aware first of all.
Right.
This is happening. So look up in the sky. You know, turn away from your phone for a minute.
Yeah.
And
not just yet.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. After this,
yeah.
But definitely look up in the sky and ask yourself, does that look normal? Because here's the thing: you are saying that these people are people. They're humans.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna err. They're gonna do things that we normally don't do. But the problem is, in my opinion, is the fact that they're covering up all their tracks as well. They're making it to where this is a natural phenomenon when it's completely not. You also have agencies like NASA who are now starting to come out and admit, yes, we have been spraying. We have been doing this.
No, they're not. They have said there's been sounding rockets with lithium, but they're not saying that the global program is underway. No one has admitted it. When people talk about, the head of the CIA admitted it. No, he was talking about it as a proposal. If they're careful with their words, and so should we be careful with our words. What they are doing is, because they're liars and they want to do something crappy, they're doing it very gently and bringing, like putting chemtrails in children's cartoons and changing textbooks and bringing new clouds into the International Cloud Atlas. That's what you expect them to be, that because they're deceptive, mendacious, expletive deleted. So that's what they do, except for this one exception this summer where David Keith says he's actually going to do it. And what the plan is, if nobody says boo, sorry, I'm going to say boo, boo. This could help global warming, and then they'll use that as legal cover, and then say, oh, by the way, we've already been doing this because we love you so much already for the last 20 years or whatever.
Exactly.
So that's covered. Of course you expect them all to lie because they're liars. Everyone in authority, pretty much everyone in authority, sometimes someone slips in who's not quite as awful as the last one, is part of it. And it says, no, they can't have everyone in on it. Well, yeah, they do. Sorry, they do. And it's, I was speaking with a flight attendant yesterday, and I could see how she knew not to say anything. But I wasn't going to try and get her to say, "Oh, I know it's going on as well." But that's the thing, that's how it works. That's how they manipulate. They are bringing darkness into light, as they have always done. It's called, it's the society most renowned for it is the Fabian Society, because Fabius, the Roman emperor, just did things very, very slowly, and that's how he won. He didn't have to all pile in at once. Over time, if you're patient enough, you can get your way. And these guys, the agenda is eternal. Darkness, control, death, destruction, crappiness. That's been around forever, and so have we. And we are the natural balance to them, and we will always be the natural balance to them, no matter how far ahead the other side have gotten with technology or whatever. They have never gotten complete control, and they never can, because that's a natural spiritual balance. They can't do it. It's their nature to keep trying, and they'll keep trying, and I'm going to tell them, go blank yourself. And after me, there'll be someone else. And eventually it will be talking in bleep bloop or whatever, in a 10 million years, I don't know. But when you say they are humans, I am a spirit who lives in this body. And so are they. And when this body doesn't work anymore, I don't see how the spirit can be somehow dependent on the physical thing. in spirit, I wouldn't be able to, like, you know, wave things around and pet the cat and stuff, but the cat would know I'd love him, her. We do not cease to exist. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would he cease to exist? I don't get it. We are guided. Everyone, I don't know if I said this earlier, I've said this so often. Your gut feeling is never wrong. We have this 24/7 connection to our spiritual, where we came from, and we have nothing to fear unless we choose to fear something. I actually think at this point we cannot be harmed unless we choose to be harmed. I'm not quite sure if that works 100%, but I'm getting that way. I also know that I don't have to fear anything that comes out of my mouth, because anytime I speak, let's call him the Holy Spirit, I'm guided with that as well. So I you know, I don't have to take notes, I don't have to rehearse. I just show up and say, oh, hey, I'm Patrick, and start blabbing. You know, I know stuff because I've been learning it, but we have so much help. I mean, we shouldn't be intimidated by the people on the other side with all their, you know, their stuff. They are in fact quite intimidated by us. And you know how uncomfortable you feel when someone horrible shows up, someone who's discordant. Imagine how uncomfortable they feel when I show up. And if they're trying to do something crappy, I'll go, oh, hey, how's it going? You know, like, oh crap. It's that easy. And I'm just being awesome. I want to be their friend. I want to meet David de Rothschild again. I've met him before. I think I'll meet him again. He's in London. We met back some years ago, and I'll say, oh, hey Pat. I just want to, the thing that you're supposed to do. By the way, when I got my epiphany, I was told, first of all, like, oh, by the way, well, God was saying, yeah, yes, I do exist. And that thing that you're already doing, that's what we want you to do. Keep on, keep at it. Yeah, good job. Your path in life, your divine mission, is probably something you're already doing. I am just extremely fortunate to know that it is, in my case. And I'm just a bit further on. You know, I've been doing this, I've had 2.5 years post epiphany. And it's awesome. I mean, you get perfections happens. You'll get perfect food. You'll get perfect. I live in San Francisco. I get parking all the time. How does that happen? You know, if I have a bad attitude, things don't go so well. We do manifest stuff. It's quite incredible. And this is me coming from a very strictly agnostic person, like from a scientific background, because I had no idea. I didn't know if God exists because I never met the guy. Now I know. For most people, it'll involve faith, but you gotta. Don't do things because you believe it to be true. Do things because you know it to be true. It sounds like a minor semantic thing, but don't say, oh, I know such and such the thing happened because some guy who I think I trust said so. Know it in your bones or in your gut and your heart. So. Yeah, I've been rambling on about all kinds of stuff and hardly anything about chemtrails. But I don't. That's all right. I'm not because
This is actually a good base for people to go back and listen and understand that yes, we do want this to stop. We absolutely want this to stop because we want to live. But the way to go about it wouldn't be a chaotic anarchist way that other people are taking the path that way. We don't want that. That's the message I'm getting from you.
Yeah, just be awesome. I mean, if the problem is too much darkness, turn a light on. You know.
Well, that's where knowledge comes in. I mean, over the years, you've been gathering information, data, knowledge. You've networked with people. You've talked with people. You gain allies as you go. And I think that's the important thing. And I mean, I don't even know if there are any people running for governor right now that believe that the chemtrail problem is real.
Well, there is one.
There is
Peter Valentino.
Peter Valentino. I was just going to mention that. I know that he is talking about the gun control issue and how this, it's totally propaganda, and there is an Agenda 21, and that's going on right now, and people need to understand that. How many people are going to vote for him? I have no idea, but I am.
Mm-hmm. Well, these are all fractals. Like every single thing that passes through the other side has their crud on it. I'm like it is a big issue with the spraying, but that's just one thing. I mean, they say they're going to put a 5G antenna 30 feet that way, right outside my building. That's not going to happen. Because I'm going to say, oh no. So like things like Agenda 21, all of these things are anti-human. They want to destroy life. So all the eugenic stuff, population control, all that, it's just the same thing coming at a different way. And it's the opposite of awesomeness. And of course and they're going to use the same sort of techniques in every single thing. And you just, wherever you are, whatever field you're in, whatever your understanding is, there is going to be a nasty version of that, and deal with the nasty. I mean, there's probably some, like I said, I use the example, like if knitting's your thing, knitting might be a way to whatever. Because, for example, they might be putting like nanofibers in wool. That could be your battle. Or if you're a cook, there's nanoparticles, and whatever the thing is, you already have been trained, and all you have to do is choose. We have our free will. We always have this free will, and when we had it, and when we got it, if you look at the Garden of Eden thing, we perhaps chose, we did eat from the tree of life or whatever. You choose. Do you want awesomeness or the opposite of awesomeness? And then, we all can do that. And then you choose your path and stay on your path. But the people who have chosen not awesomeness, they still have free will. They can say, my boss is a dick. My wife's cheating on me. I'm getting ripped off, and I'm getting backstabbed if I close. It's like, it looks really nice over there where they're having the barbecue in the park.
Right.
They can change sides. We have to make ourselves so awesome that people think, oh, that looks really cool. That's so relaxing. Not have to worry about, I can sleep and no one's going to draw stuff on my face or slip something into my drink. I mean, there are people who like that stuff. I mean, if there weren't, we wouldn't have bad stuff. That's a choice they made, and that's fine. But I'm not God, I'm not the devil. We are all in between. And the more light we put over there, the more of us collectively there will be on the awesome side. And there's always going to be a residual bad thing, and they're not going to really matter that much. They're going to go over to Crapistan, or think of a word with, I don't know, like some country where it's horrible with crappy food, and they're waiting in line all day and getting laughed at, and there's coffee tables everywhere, and they're stubbing their toes, and it just sucks. Go ahead, knock yourself out, do that. But if you want to come back over here, it's fine.
It'd be wonderful.
And that's the thing, just be awesome, just choose awesome, and just keep going, and recognize the difference between the two things. Because when they try to influence us over and corrupt us, they will do it with little shiny things that will make it seem like for example, depravity. They'll, if you're lonely and you want to be loved, as everybody, more love is awesome. They'll wrap it in some sleazy sort of, thing, and trick people into thinking, oh, I can get love if I do this horrible thing. They can't say, if they were honest and they will never be, because our side has truth, and said, hey guys, do you want to be in immense agony, terrified and getting stabbed in the eye with a fork for eternity? That's a tough sell. So they have to do it really slowly and insidiously and whatever. They're really good at planning stuff, and they have to be, because who wants that stuff? I mean, they got to be really, I mean, bravo for, like, they do a good job. And actually, I respect them. I mean, like, think of the work. I mean, like, just like getting 3 people to agree on where they're going to go for lunch. That's hard enough. Getting a plane up in the sky and, you know, making sure everyone's like, oh, hang on, wait, hang on, did you remember to fill up the thing? Oh, it's massive, the amount of work they put in. Wow, it's impressive. And, you know, now it's super heavy spray day. It's like, wow, this is impressive. You know, expletive deleted you, but bravo. And you know, and that's the other thing. Like, the people, as I become more whatever this side, I am curious to who my opposite number is over in this side, because we probably have a lot in common, opposite intent, but what we're doing has to be similar. And I just want to know who they are and what they are, and just like, hey, how's it going? I don't hate anyone. I get pissed off sometimes, but, you know, it's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing thing. But there's no reason to be afraid. None. Zero. Because we're awesome. You know, choose awesomeness and then everything's awesome. That's all there is to it. And this will end. And I think it might even end this year. Because I'm really throwing a spanner in the works with this liability thing. Ooh, it's going to be nasty. And actually, the other thing, lawsuits cost a lot. No, they don't. If you hire if you hire an entire law firm and get like 800 dudes at $500 an hour, yeah, that'll add up. I don't need a lawyer. I get very good advice. There's going to be the filing fee and maybe a couple of incidentals, and I can do that out of my own pocket, and it'll just, whoa, hang on, oh, we were hoping no one was going to do that. Oh, and the other thing, oh, don't tell them what you're going to do, because, you know, that'll give them an advantage. No, I've told them my entire thing. You know, I even tweeted to David Keith, oh, by the way, have a watch of my Tucson thing. You know, it's all there. You know, and again, my problem's not with David Keith, because he's the guy that got wheeled out to do this thing. I used to call them the scumbags and douchebags, and that's, you know, that's an easy way of, because the scumbags are the ones who make the decision, and then they get other schmucks, so other like people, like whoever they get them to go and actually do the action. And I forget the guy who said this, and it does seem to make sense, because they know what karma is. If you do something crappy, crap comes to you. So to reduce the karmic hit on themselves, they lie to themselves, because they even lie to themselves, that by getting others to do the bad work for them, it somehow reduces their culpability. Still does. Their idea, they set it in motion. That's like if I put a glove on and hit somebody, I mean, do you blame the glove? No, sorry. They do that. But that thing, I want to protect those guys. You know, like David Keith. I mean, he's been convinced, he's been tricked into doing this horrible thing. Do you think Judas is happy that he took those 30 pieces of silver? No, he's miserable, damned for all time, if, you know, all that kind of stuff. I see David Keith and Ken Caldera and all the other guys in the same light. But check this out, because like I said, my attitude has changed since the Ken Caldera days.
Yes.
Considerably. Oh, absolutely. But in last November, I got again, I was led to, because I get all kinds of Facebook messages, and there's this woman, Lauren, who lives up in Chico, messaged me and said, "Oh, there's the geoengineering talk happening at CSU, Cal State, whatever, Chico, and there's a guy there, and he's going to do the usual thing about whatever. Do you want to come?" And I went. For some reason, I went. For some reason, I drove, and it's actually not that close to San Francisco. It's like several hours away, but I went there, and the guy who was speaking is called Will Burns, and he was doing the usual thing, we're thinking about carbon capture and solar radiation management for these reasons and so on. And I knew, ahead of time, I was gonna listen and see if there was anything I could learn from it, but I wasn't going to try and trap him or get him in trouble by like letting something slip. And even if he did, I might not even. I want to make sure he was okay. But it turns out he has a doctorate in international environmental law, and I went, oh, that would be really handy to know. Is there some way I can screw with these people using their legal system? And so we didn't have much time afterwards. I spoke to him briefly and said, is it okay if we talk later? And I said, oh, sure. And so when we were emailing back and forth, I said, okay, by the way, just so you know, the Clean Air Act doesn't cover metals. And there's actually a thing in US Code 56 section, I think it's 1520A, which says it's legal to like spray freaking nerve gas over a city as long as you call it research. So I wasn't going to try and sort of like say, ha, he's the enemy. I'll say, I wasn't trying to win, sort of, ha, you're somehow trying to hide things. I put that all ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And then he said, yeah, let's still do it. And we had this awesome interview, which is on my website, and he laid out, because I'm not a lawyer, but he told me which things could work, which things wouldn't work. Like, for example, the sort of like these international treaties, like, yeah, it's international, like between nations. I'm not a nation, all that sort of stuff. But all the things that he gave me, I had all the tools that I could assemble, and that's how I came up with the preventive injunction thing. Because the example I've used, and he said in the thing, like, if I was a manufacturer of medical devices, and there was a lot of companies making the same thing, and it was faulty, and there was a medical a tort against the companies who made this thing, like someone dies, they can sue anyone, and if I own 10% of the market share, I am liable for 10% of the damages. So with David Keith, the alumina globally is causing whatever the cost of all Alzheimer's cases. Not just Alzheimer's, there's also autism and all that other stuff, and associated with that you have damage from emotional harm, lost wages, and everyone else. It becomes a huge number. Murder, I mean, you can't really obviously can't put a price on life, but that people have, and that times the #1 cause of death in England, which is probably the #1 cause of death here, but they're fiddling the numbers. Huge cost. So they'll say, their defense will be, oh, we're only putting up a small amount. Okay, what is the total amount released? The way they can minimize their damage is admitting all the other guys are spraying. It'll work. And I was guided. This guy, if 2015 Patrick went to see Will Burns, I would have been more combative, and I wouldn't have gotten that. I listened. He listened. I wanted to help him. He wanted to help me. I mean, he didn't admit, oh, by the way, it's going on, because again, like, I wouldn't want him to, because and people that you think are your enemies aren't really. I mean, Mick West, he's my Mick West. He's the top. He's known as the top shill disinformation. He says he won't. He says he isn't. Yeah, whatever. I wouldn't say he is, but you know, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. Fair enough. I needed to know the official line on what people, you know, what the government types say. Oh no, don't worry about that. That's explained by this, and that's explained by that. So I actually, I reached out to Mick and said, hey Mick, is it okay if we like have an interview and you tell me everything you know, how you explain all your stuff? And he said sure, and actually just as we were starting, I was saying, you know, it's actually really nice to do this, because I normally fight with people on the internet, and it's like having a nice cordial, like, you know, nice conversation. I wasn't going to debate all of his statements, like, oh no, you're wrong, because of, like, no. I said ahead of time, this is going to be a friendly, civil discussion, and we're gonna enjoy this. And it happened. And of course people are still going to say, oh, that's that awful person who, you know, props up the thing. He's doing his job, you know? And you wouldn't blame him, because like, he is no worse than anyone else who denies it's going on. They all share the blame. Everyone who's denying this stuff is equally guilty. He's just more, you know. But it's fine. I don't want any harm to come to him either.
Can I say that what I'm hearing from you, you know, from about 2 or 3 years ago when we first talked, which was a totally different Patrick. Almost. Totally different Patrick. Is what you're doing is you're basically doing the same thing, but you're taking a different approach, or you've got a different angle on what you're doing. Yes. And it's not so much as you're using the tools that you used before, because they're basically the same research, knowledge, all that thing.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, all of it. But it's a different attitude.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly when I found out about 9/11. And then I actually watched this David Icke thing, which put the whole thing together, that there are dark people who coordinatedly are just trying to, you know, mess with everyone, and it's like, oh wow, like this huge thing against little vulnerable me. And I'm still, you know, like, if you poke me, I'd bleed and stuff, you know, like, oh, what can I do? And I went through that whole, you know, listening to Alex Jones, buying seeds and stuff, you know, that whole thing. And I was, you know, that's a necessary thing. I mean, you know, even Alex Jones, for what people say about him, he's an alarm clock, and he's great at waking people up. I mean, I wouldn't want to listen to an alarm clock ringing all day. Right. He served his purpose. The other side served their purpose. I am actually helped by the other side. It seems that, you know, as the challenge will not be presented from the other side until I'm completely capable of handling it, and then doing it in a way that they are not hurt. I joined the Weather Modification Association. You know, I've been to 2 of their meetings, you know, at first I was thinking, oh, wouldn't it be great to find out some stuff? But, you know, what was said, I mean, you know, I let them know that whatever was said in confidence, if they said, like, you know, said, oh, don't repeat stuff that goes on, whatever, you know, and I said, yes, I will, you know, and I stayed true to my word. I've not said anything. I've not betrayed any confidence. I mean, there wasn't really much to betray anyway, because they're not the ones who were doing, like, the really crappy stuff.
Right.
And, you know, all these old-fashioned ideas about honor and truth and stuff and chivalry and just being awesome, your life will be so much better. Just choose awesome. And I finally, I'm 52, I actually finally became a man properly. I mean, I wasn't a child, you know. Physically, I stopped being a child, you know, as you turn 20 or something. But I actually am a fully formed person now with a job to do, and I have, you know, I almost feel like I got a lunchbox and a hard hat. I got a truck, you know, and I'm actually doing the job now. And my boss is, you know, I don't have a job. I mean, but everything is provided for. I don't draw a salary, but some money just falls out of the sky and like, or whatever. I never have to, I don't worry about.
You get what you need. It's not so much as what you know, you get what you want.
Exactly.
You're never left with your need.
Yeah, I mean, if I was afraid that in the future I would starve to death, I would then have to amass as much wealth as I can and put it in a big, heavy locked box and like protect it with armed guards and. Like that's the other thing. Like if the other guys want to get me, we'll take away your income. Well, like who's gonna like fire me? I don't draw a salary. Oh yeah, and then if we take away your money, you won't be able to eat. Well, I'm sure someone will give me a sandwich. You know, I'll find somewhere nice to sleep, and you know, it's their carrots and sticks don't work on me. You know, do I want like a Bentley? Like where would I park it? You know, I have to worry about, I have to pay all this insurance and have a giant house. I like my bed, I like my apartment. It's a little noisy because of street noise, but then I can go to the beach. We are completely free. You know, we are only tricked into thinking that we need these other guys. We don't. It's a scam. Of course, it's a scam. They're liars. And you don't have to worry about it. I mean, just do your thing, do the right thing, and then of course on top of that we have God's protection. So if I was concerned, I would do things differently. You know, back then I was concerned because I was like, it was an existential threat. And now and even then I didn't really do it because I wanted to protect myself from whatever they were doing. I did it because it was wrong. Like, no, you've peed off the wrong Irishman, you know. But I, you know, you can do so much more when you're peaceful. I mean, even think of an archer trying to hit a bullseye. You know, you sort of. You know, you plant your feet, you steady your breath, you see the target, you know where you want to go, and then at the right time you release, and then it goes. If you're hopping up and down on one leg, or arguing with your girlfriend, or whatever, trying to calculate how many minutes you have left in your cell phone plan or something, you're going to miss. Mm-hmm. And you don't hope that things will turn out well, because when you try to do something, you are then manifesting the option of failure as long as the option of success. Just do it, you know. To take from Nike, just do the right thing, and it will work out. And I know until you're on this level of peace, you don't know this, but you will. If you can just, all of these little things that are annoying you, just let them all go. You know, someone's like, I need to do whatever, like, it's, you know, I'm doing this, and like, okay, I'll get to you later. And you just do one thing at a time. Don't try and multitask. Don't try to, just get rid of chaos. I mean, get rid of like the smallest thing that annoys you. Like you might have some little thing that's like a hinge that squeaks. You know, put some oil in it. Just slow. Start small, but just improve your life. And going back to if you're afraid of scarcity later, that's why you will like hoard lots of stuff. That proves that the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and whoever, I mean, they may not be the top guys, I don't know, but I mean, like anyone who amasses absurd amounts of wealth either enjoys amassing huge amounts of wealth or is so terrified of scarcity they gotta have all the stuff. And I have a feeling it's sort of a little towards the latter, and that I have sympathy for. To be that afraid
pretty wretched.
Be horrible. Ugh.
Pretty wretched. I'd hate to feel that way.
Exactly.
Patrick Roddy, you've had an amazing epiphany, a very huge turn of attitude and the way of looking at things. How can people find you, and where can they listen to you more and find all your information?
Yeah, stopsprayingus.com. And I'm also, for now, on Facebook and YouTube and stuff. And if you just look up my name, Patrick Roddy, Roddie, you can find me there. Yeah, because I also I want to get off the social media things as well, because
Sure.
you know they are throttling and censoring. And actually, here's the thing: get off your freaking phone, go and talk to people on the street. I have these really cool buttons. Oh, you can get them on my website, and I just give them to people. Have my website on there, and it's like, and it's. And I've been doing this for a while, and like I went to next time you're in San Francisco, go to Mr. Holmes Bakery on Larkin. Get there before noon. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, I gave them all buttons, and I went in the other day and I went, I want this one, this one, this one. They said, okay, that'll be $5. Wait, hang on. Sorry, I think you added up wrong. Oh, no. I'm getting free, I'm getting fed awesome pastries for, and it's,
Hey.
It's all going to be okay. If you choose awesomeness, your life will be awesome. And but I am steely determined, and like the guy from 2015 who like did the Paris Climate Conference and all that kind of stuff. I am just as pissy, just as determined, but now with more power. Yeah, I don't envy anyone going up against me. And, when I have David Keith on the stand, I have sympathy for him, but my sympathy for the entire biosphere takes precedence over his temporary discomfort. Sorry, but that ain't gonna fly anymore. They're not gonna spray anymore, because I will expletive deleted that up. Not them, that. And there's a difference. Do not get in, again, try not to get tempted into attacking the people, because then you become a person killer, and that's what those guys do. When you see a very bad idea, you say, no, not going along with that, and I'm gonna stand right here, and like there's in Ghost, Patrick Swayze, he was trying to get Whoopi Goldberg to do a thing, and she could hear him, and he's just singing, I'm Henry VIII, I am, and he just kept going and going, like, right, I'll do it. I will not go away. I will absolutely, this is my job, and sorry, it ain't gonna happen. So, when you say, oh, how am I gonna do it? I don't know, but I don't know yet, because you are not told the solution to the problem until you are required to do the thing. Because I have all of the things that I'm doing now were from things I learned long time ago, like the Paris Climate Conference, writing the paper. I only knew how to write a paper because I spent several years as a newspaper reporter. I worked at the UCSF, the medical school library, and there were medical students there who were writing their papers, and I edited the papers in new APA format so I could do it in an hour. In the movie The Matrix, they're running away from the agent. There's a helicopter there, so they call back to the thing, say, hey, can you download the helicopter pilot program? Download it, then they can fly. When we come across a bump or a problem that needs a solution, you're thinking, oh, if only I had the solution for that. That's when God speaks to you and lets you know that, oh wait, I got this thing right here. He will show you. When I say he, whatever, you will be told that, or it will become known to you that you had the solution for that all the way along, and it just happened to be usually either in your right hand or in your pocket already. We are always protected, because parents do not let their children go out and play in the traffic without even thinking, whatever. We come from something. We are not the first, because if we were the first, how come there's all this stuff here when we showed up?
Exactly.
So it's okay. And again, like some people like, oh no, there's no God thing, but really ask yourself, is your gut ever wrong? Trust me, there is. I'm very lucky that I know, but it's important for me to know, because I'm doing a big job going after the root. I'm not going after the branches. I'm going after the root and saying, you know, time to back off. It's our turn now. And it is, and we're going into this golden age. I mean, everyone you talk to, when you see how much more aware they are from a year ago, it's not just like the truthers, it's everybody. Because like I used to talk to people on the street, and it'll be like, you know, 1 in 10 maybe, but now it's like 10 in 10. I mean, you know, 9, well, it's everyone that I speak to immediately will get it. And I think that's partly because the love itself, I mean, there are certain people who are just so awesome, it sort of radiates from them. And truth, I'm getting truth from, you know, I'm the loud mouth that truth comes out of, and it has, no one debates it. I mean, of course, you know, the shills won't openly agree with me, but they know it's fine, and they're doing their job, we're doing ours, and it's going to be fine. Like I said, there's nothing to be afraid of, but if there's something that's wrong, you just say no. Remember, your free will is inviolate. Your will is completely indomitable. And no matter who you are, you have a job to do, and you're probably already doing it. And great to have you aboard. Yay.
Thank you very much, Patrick, and the same to you. And oh man, blessings, and you know, on your effort, and you know, looking forward to them stopping.
Yeah, and tune in. There's all kinds of good stuff coming along, and it's going to be awesome. So yay!
Absolutely, we'll definitely have you back. So I greatly appreciate it. Thank you again, Patrick Roddy, everyone, and have a good night.